Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, so today we're diving into a forensic report that honestly reads more like a spy thriller than a legal document. We're talking about a story of imposters, secret drug gangs, and an alleged 50-year conspiracy, all supposedly orchestrated by a European state against one of its very own citizens.
Now, you might think a story like this would start way back in the past, right? Well, nope. Our story actually begins just a few months ago, on the sunny coast of Spain. The report we're breaking down today says a single incident that happened right here is actually the key to unlocking a much bigger and much darker operation.
So first up, let's talk about a lunch meeting. I know, it might not sound like much, but the report we're analyzing presents this one event as a perfect miniature version of the entire alleged conspiracy. It's a moment where all the tactics, psychological warfare, surveillance, evidence tampering, supposedly come together in one single place.
Okay, so here's how the report lays it all out. It kicks off with a so-called chance meeting. Then, the very next day, there's a lunch with a key witness. But he doesn't come alone. He brings a woman that nobody recognizes who says she's his wife. The report alleges she's actually a state agent, and the proof, it claims, is what happens next. She gets her hands on the complainant's phone and boof, just like that, every single photo from their meeting is gone.
Now, the report is absolutely insistent that this wasn't just somebody accidentally hitting the delete button. It alleges a whole list of specific crimes under the Dutch Penal Code. We're talking computer trespassing, intentional destruction of evidence, the whole shebang. And the goal, it claims, was simple, to make absolutely sure there was zero proof that a state agent was running an illegal operation on foreign soil. Which, brings us to the million-dollar question. Why? Why would a government allegedly go to these incredible lengths, sending agents, impersonating people, deleting photos, all against one person? The report argues it's not about just one incident. It's about a long-term strategy of psychological warfare.
To really get a handle on the report's main argument, we first have to understand a very specific and, honestly, a pretty chilling phrase that it uses: state terror. So, when you hear the word terror, your mind probably jumps to bombs and physical violence. But the report is very, very clear here. That's not what it's talking about. It's describing something much quieter, something more administrative. It's about using the state's own machinery, its paperwork, its doctors, its official systems, to systematically and completely take a person's life apart, piece by piece.
The report then draws this really stark and chilling parallel to a tactic that was perfected by the East German secret police, the Stasi. It was called Zersetzung, which literally translates to decomposition. The whole idea wasn't to arrest the target, it was to systematically destroy their reputation, their relationships, and their sanity, until they were just utterly alone and totally discredited.
And here's a wild example of how the report claims this works in the real world. When local business owners are reportedly told, "We may not say anything," the community itself becomes the weapon. All of a sudden, the target is like a ghost in their own town, completely isolated, without ever even seeing the inside of a jail cell.
But here's the thing, the report claims the most powerful tool in this entire alleged war isn't spies, it's not bureaucracy, it's psychiatry. The entire strategy, it argues, depends on controlling the target's diagnosis.
Okay, this slide right here is basically the whole case in a nutshell. It presents two realities that are completely incompatible. They cannot both be true. In one reality, the state's alleged view, the complainant has a delusional disorder, which means everything he's saying is just a symptom of his illness. But in the other, the report's view, he has severe PTSD from actual trauma, and his stories are just fragmented memories of things that really happened. The entire case hinges on which of these two realities is the true one. So you might be asking yourself, how does the report explain why a key witness, his own wife, might deny that some of these events ever happened? Well, it points to this theory of structural dissociation. The basic idea is that extreme trauma can literally split a personality into different parts. There's the apparently normal part that goes about daily life, handles errands, and often has no memory of the trauma at all. And then there's the emotional part that holds all the pain and the memories. So the report suggests when his wife denies something, it might not be a lie. Her normal self might genuinely have no idea it ever took place.
And this is where the allegations in the report take a really, really disturbing turn. It claims the complainant's mental state wasn't just being diagnosed, it was being actively manipulated. It alleges powerful antipsychotics were secretly given to him disguised as baby aspirin, and that drugs like ketamine were used to put him in a suggestible state to get him to sign legal documents.
I mean, if any of that is true, it makes any psychiatric diagnosis from the state completely invalid from the get-go.
So why? Why this incredibly elaborate, decades-long psychological operation? According to this report, it is all just a massive, sprawling cover-up for something that happened more than 50 years ago. The report basically breaks this entire story into two acts. You've got Phase 1, which covers the alleged original crimes way back in the 70s, and then you have Phase 2, which is everything that's supposedly happening right now. This modern, high-tech, bureaucratic campaign designed to make sure Phase 1 never, ever sees the light of day.
And what are these foundational secrets that the state is allegedly protecting? Well, the allegations listed in the report are they're staggering. We're talking forced sterilization, electroshock torture, even a state-ordered murder attempt, all supposedly involving some of the top officials from the Dutch Ministry of Justice.
So how does the report try to fight back against this delusional diagnosis? It points to what it calls hard, physical proof. For instance, a urologist's report that describes a scar consistent with sterilization. And as the forensic report puts it, very bluntly, a scar cannot be hallucinated. It presents this as cold, objective evidence that flatly contradicts the official psychiatric diagnosis.
And just when you think this story couldn't get any more complex, it goes international. The report alleges that this whole case has escalated way beyond the Netherlands and that it's now drawn the attention of the U.S. Department of Justice and even federal judges.
The report really leans on this alleged American involvement as a key piece of its argument. The logic is basically this. If the U.S. Department of Justice is briefing foreign governments about your case, they are probably not treating it as the delusion of a single person. To the report's authors, this suggests the case is being viewed as a serious international human rights issue.
And all of this brings us to the complainant's situation right now. What the report describes as a perfect, elegant, and completely inescapable legal trap.
This slide does a fantastic job of laying out the legal catch-22 the report describes. Just follow the steps. He tries to get a lawyer, but they can't take the case without proof. Okay, so he needs proof. To get proof, he needs a police report. But the police are allegedly forbidden from writing that report. It creates this perfect closed loop where every single path to justice is systematically blocked off, leading to what the report calls a state of civil death.
So, how do you get out of a trap that's designed to be inescapable? The report outlines a pretty creative legal strategy. The plan is to transfer the entire legal claim to a foundation, which is called a stichting in the Netherlands. A foundation is its own legal person. And here's the clever part. While the state can declare an individual incompetent, it can't do the same to a foundation. In theory, that would allow the foundation to fight the case in his place.
And that leaves us with the ultimate question that this entire report poses. If the very system that's designed to give you justice is the same system being accused of the crime, how is accountability even possible? It's a really chilling question about the limits of power and the true nature of justice itself.